18 years old. In 12 weeks, I made $32,000 and was like, holy smokes, this is it. And I continued to do that every summer in college, recruited, trained. My last summer there, we're 6 summers in now. I calculated I've knocked on about 36 to 38,000 doors. If the customer comes in, and we see this happen time and time again, and like, oh, how you doing? Oh, we just got back from our vacation to Hawaii. And we see in conversation, sales reps, finance managers, they go, okay, great. Well, here's what we're going to be doing today. And they don't even just sit there and go, oh, where'd you go? Where'd you come back from? What'd you do? How long was it? Oh yeah, I could tell you got a little sunburnt. You have too much fun. It just, there's no relationship. Now, some finance managers are great at that. And so what we see is there's a correlation between closing score and building rapport. If you do great by building rapport in the beginning, you have opened the customer up, they like you, they trust you. And when it comes to the close, things go significantly smoother.
This is one of the largest purchases, probably the second, for a lot of people could be the largest, and some people could be the second largest purchase they'll ever make.
Yep.
Celebrate the damn thing. You guys have not only recorded tens of thousands of in-person conversations, probably hundreds of thousands of in-person conversations.
We're talking millions.
Millions. You've recorded millions of in-person conversations.
Welcome to the Shift into Profit podcast, where leaders come to evolve, teams come to improve, and dealerships come to grow. Every episode delivers the insights you need to transform your people and maximize your performance. Let's shift your store into a new level of profit.
For years, I've been saying that we have a process problem in our industry. We all talk about the road to the sale or the service write-up process or F&I menu process, but very few dealerships actually know how well their teams are following those steps. A process is only as good as how well we can measure it. Think about it. As an industry, we spend massive amounts of money and time getting customers to walk into our showroom or service drive and shake our hand. But the only thing we have to determine whether we did a good job is a checklist. Did we greet them? Did we qualify? Did we present? Did we touch desk? This is not measurement. This is guesswork, and the team at Siro agrees with me. That is why Siro created a way to record and analyze every in-person sales, service, and F&I conversation and report back to management exactly how each team member is performing against your process, not Siro process, your process. The system is fully customized to your store, your expectations, and your steps to the sale or service. Every conversation is mapped. Every step is measured. And that is only the beginning. Siro also provides real-time feedback and coaching notes that help your people get better with every customer they speak to. That is not just another cool tool. That is a way to moneyball your business. You're finally able to measure every at-bat so you can process your way to profitability. To learn more, visit Siro, Siro.ai, and make sure to ask them for the Strategy with Jason discount. Now back to the show. Hey, what's going on, Automotive Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Shift into Profit. Well, where I get to talk to, frankly, anybody and everybody I want to talk to what it actually takes to get us into a profitable state across all departments. And I got a guest with me today. Actually, I'm not going to call it a guest. I got a friend with me today. I get to hang out with this person on a pretty regular basis and do some pretty cool, great conversations, really dive into some deep strategies. So I got the one, the only, the oh so famous. He paid me to say that, by the way. I have Gavin with Siro.ai. Gavin, what's up, man? How you doing? Did I do that okay? All right.
Yeah, Jason, as always, you nailed it. And very excited to be here. This should be a fantastic conversation. So let's do this thing.
I love it when we get a chance to jam, man. We always have so much fun when we just, like, get into it. And we've actually been talking to some dealers together recently, and it is fun, alarming, and exciting to kind of hear what's going on, like, in real time at some dealerships across the country. And for everybody out there watching and listening right now, all right, today's kind of Shift into Profit episode is going to be really kind of focused on the box. Well, I'll throw in some like mystical magic music or something like that when I do that later. Anyways, the box. By the way, guys, everybody, the worst name we could ever pick for a department in general, but we're going to get into some kind of people, process, and technology of just, best practices and what we can do better. But hey, Gavin, I love kicking off these shows with an origin story. Because dude, I'm just fundamentally fascinated how anybody just kind of gets into the world that they're in. So let's start there, Gavin. How in the world did you kind of get started and ultimately kind of make your way to the automotive industry?
Yeah, it starts. I like to say that it started when I was 18. So I had to pay for college. Parents hooked me up with the first year and then said, "Hey, it's on you." And I was determined to not graduate with a single dollar in debt. And I found out that you can make a good amount of money selling pest control door to door. And went out that summer. I was told I was getting into a Ponzi scheme. It was illegal. It wasn't going to work. And at 18 years old, in 12 weeks, I made $32,000 and was like, holy smokes, this is it. And I continued to do that every summer in college, recruited, trained. My last summer there, we're 6 summers in now. I calculated I've knocked on about 36 to 38,000 doors in my life. And that last summer, I had recruited 60 guys from all over college campuses. They're working in my region, and we had reps in Atlanta, Raleigh, Wilmington, and my company came to me and said, "Hey, we're going to try out this product called Siro with your region." And what Siro does is record in-person sales conversations, analyzes them, and allows someone in my seat to coach more effectively. And we started using it, started talking to the founders of Siro at the time, very small business. And long story short, they pitched me on the vision, gave me a bit of skin in the game, and convinced me to come join as the first sales hire there back a few years back. And that's how I got into Siro. Happy to dive into the auto story. It's also very cool, but any questions, thoughts?
Yeah, no, dude, like I love, and you're going to hear a lot more about me talk about Siro in other episodes and stuff like that. I think any technology that I call people technology that empowers a person to ultimately do better is phenomenal. And for everybody out there watching, listening, I mean, you guys just think about this for a second. For all the time, money, effort, and just stress that gets put into bringing people into this one singular moment where I have to go, "Hi, my name is, and welcome to ABC." There's just not enough technology. There's not enough effort, strategy, processes around that space. And we know it's one of the most important. I do want to get into how in the world you guys chose the automotive vertical, because you guys work in some other really cool verticals, but I'm just curious, man, like why auto?
Yeah, I mean, what we've realized is if you have an in-person selling conversation, yes, there needs to be prompting and we need to make the system work for your needs, but you could be selling HVAC equipment, solar panels, home improvement, be a B2B, consumer packaged good distributor selling this to gas stations. If you're selling something in person, Siro can fit in that and provide all the value that it does once you start recording those conversations. How we got into automotive, our first partner in the space. Long story short, there was improper disclosure happening there. Guardian Dealer Services, Jason Lunt, he's my boy. If he hears this, Jason, you're the man. And, he was working with a group, and one of his products got pulled out because finance managers were, doing a proper disclosure and not selling the product as it should have been.
Bad actors, yeah.
Yes. And, their product got pulled out, and that got him to thinking, how the heck could I have stopped that? And he was thinking, okay, well, if I recorded those conversations and I had the data, I can get in there and fix these problems before they become a real problem. And they actually started to try and build Siro themselves. And then long story short, found us, and we partnered with those guys to solve this need for, compliance and training is so top of mind, especially in the box. And it was just such a turnkey fit. The product did what they were looking for. And here we are, that was back in March or April when we first chatted. And now there's dozens of dealers using Siro, TPAs, we got to keep a hush hush who we're with. They've asked that, but we've got pilots off the ground right now. And we're here to increase, performance and make sure, finance managers are doing the right thing in the box.
In the box. And by the way, it still blows my mind we call it this thing. Gavin, I was telling you, I was actually at a dealership recently, and I watched a salesperson. Now, granted, the sheer like face of horror on their face when it came out of their mouth was all telling, right? They actually told the customer, "Hey, Mr. Customer, hey, congratulations on purchase. I'm so excited for you. It'll be just a few minutes. We'll get you in the box and then we'll get you out of here." And I could just see the look on his face go, "Did I just say that out loud? Did I really just say that?" Look, I was an F&I manager, all right? I was actually an F&I director at one point where I was overseeing, multiple locations, multiple F&I managers and coaching. I understand. And I appreciate the fact that how you guys got into it. I appreciate the fact that it did come from kind of a compliancy issue, right? Because there are some bad actors out there. There legitimately are. I mean, I can train and coach all day long on the best practices and things that we ultimately need to achieve. But let's face it, right? There is a large opportunity to generate a large amount of revenue in there. And when that happens, it can draw in some bad actors. So, I love getting into these podcasts, kind of breaking down to people, process, technology. And this is kind of a perfect segue kind of into our first topic is around people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you guys have not only recorded tens of thousands of in-person conversations, probably hundreds of thousands of in-person conversations.
We're talking millions.
Millions. You've recorded millions of in-person conversations. And I'm sure that you have seen, the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to people before they even have a good piece of process and technology. I'm just curious from your perspective over the years, right? What makes, that good salesperson a good salesperson from a people perspective?
Yeah. The first thing we see pretty consistently is, so one of the things that we do for people unaware, like Siro can grade soft skills in conversations. So you're looking at building rapport, closing, objection handling, negotiation. And we grade those soft skills. And it's funny, a lot of groups and a lot of companies that we work with, they're so honed in on this closing aspect. Like, what's our score on closing?
Yes.
And it's super important. You have to be great there. But what really sets up the close, and we see this consistently in reporting and data, is how well you build rapport. If the customer comes in, and we see this happen time and time again, and like, "Oh, how you doing? Oh, we just got back from our vacation to Hawaii." And we see in conversation, sales reps, finance managers, they go, "Okay, great. Well, here's what we're going to be doing today." And they don't even just sit there and go, "Oh, where'd you go? Where'd you come back from? What'd you do? How long was it? Oh, yeah, I could tell you got a little sunburn. You have too much fun." It just, there's no relationship. Now, some finance managers are great at that. And so what we see is there's a correlation between closing score and building rapport. If you do great by building rapport in the beginning, you have opened the customer up, they like you, they trust you. And when it comes to the close, things go significantly smoother. And that's like one of the key things we see consistently across every single industry that we work with. And it's especially, noticeable in finance conversations. You got to get that trust. And how you can do that is build rapport.
I no, I'm 100% with you. I mean, it's one of the core things that I would train and I would coach on. One of the things I put out there is guys, be human for a moment. All right. This is one of the largest purchases, probably the second, for a lot of people could be the largest, and some people could be the second largest purchase they'll ever make.
Yep.
Celebrate the damn thing. Okay. I mean, it blew my mind. Just recently purchased a brand new Kia Telluride from my wife. I mean, I felt like I was walking into a box. I mean, it was so gray and dark and like I'm just like going like, is this like a cave in the back of the dealership? Like, guys, celebrate this. This is exciting. Make it exciting. Congratulate them. I don't know, get some balloons, throw some confetti, like make this thing a freaking party. Like this is exciting and it should be exciting. I tell you too often, Gavin, I've seen just, I'm big on body language, like super big on body language, right? And it's just, watching people, kind of greet them as they transfer into the F&I department is just like, "Okay, guys, follow me real quick. I got my notebook. Let's go over." Like, I'm like, are you serious? These people just made the second largest purchase in their life. Like, let's get excited here, right? So it doesn't surprise me that your data, and this is why one of the reasons I love talking to you, Gavin, because you got the data. Me, I can do it from best practices and what worked for me, but man, you actually have the hard data, and building rapport is that key element of just, because it's not a matter of what we say, but how we say it. It really makes that big difference. And when you don't have the rapport, it just fall apart. Wouldn't you say?
I mean, completely. It's that tone, it's that pacing, all things we track in recordings that influence your ability to build rapport. And it's funny, you said the word congratulations. One dealership, actually, we have things called bookmarks. They track literally words or key phrases, or even more high level things like, when did you present the menu? Did you ask discovery questions that the dealership asks or wants them to ask? And one of the things they're tracking is just literally saying the word congratulations. And we looked at the scorecard data, and the one who had a low, building rapport score, he literally doesn't even congratulate the customer half the time on their new vehicle. Just gets right into the pitch. And yeah, it's so important. You got to win people over before you start, pushing product on them.
Look, this is a people business for everybody out there watching and listening to this. That it's a people business. You probably say that term on a pretty regular basis, right? So it's like, if you're not training your people to build that rapport, to make this a memorable and exciting experience, guys, this is exciting. This is a big deal. This doesn't happen every single day. It's not like me going out and buying a pair of jeans. Like, this is a big deal, and it should be celebrated and fun. And what a beautiful and perfect place to do that when they come into the F&I office. Now let's get a little bit into the process, because I love people, I love finding good people, I love coaching good people, but man, those people are only as good as the process that they have to go and execute on. You've seen millions, literally millions of conversations out there. What have you seen from a process perspective that in maybe the automotive space we could actually be doing better?
Yeah. So I think just good for the listeners to know, in the automotive space, Siro is a mobile application, so you can record sales, service, and finance. So we're keeping it finance manager focused today, but just to put that out there. And then if we look at finance managers in particular, the way customers are really setting up our account to score and help highlight training opportunities is really in 3 buckets. They have soft skill grading, like I was talking about. How well did you build rapport, negotiate, close, things like that. And you'll have scorecards for that to identify opportunities to train individuals or the team. Then we'll load in all of your products. We can tell you how often Jimmy versus Jessica is bringing up gap insurance, red alert, all the different products that you sell at your dealership. That's great to understand, like we were looking at a dealership earlier today, me and Jason, and, this finance manager in the DMS, he's not selling red alert very well. He's way behind the team's average. And we look at the data, and he's bringing it up 16 to 20% less than the other 2 finance managers there. So right there, we've identified it's not a problem with presentation. It's a problem with presenting it at all. But then if you see, okay, this finance manager is bringing it up the same or even more, but he still has a struggle with, product penetration with that specific product. Well, okay, now I need to go into the recordings and actually start understanding what's happening here. Why do we struggle? And then the last piece that dealerships do is they've got their process. And this is what I know you're really excited about, Jason, where these are the word tracks. This is the steps. We got to make sure we're disclosing this for like compliance related things. We need to make sure we do a congratulations step. Whatever it may be, we load those things in. And when it comes down to the process, we have seen a correlation to performance is higher when you hit every single step versus forget a few. But what it really does come down to is more around the soft skills and more high level themes that can really pinpoint which each finance manager, what the store, and if you're a group, what the entire group at large needs to be working on to increase that performance.
And this is what I love as a trainer, right? The soft skills really tells me a lot about the person. Okay. And what I need to work with that person at the kind of more the individual, right? Look, face it, I'll be the first one to admit, you probably heard me say this on other podcasts before, all right? My emotional EQ getting into this industry was not overly high, okay? I came from the culture of suck it up, buttercup, check it out the door, and let's just get shit done. And that's just how I operated on a daily basis. And that didn't necessarily translate well over to when I was dealing with clients. And it was something that I obviously had to work through to ultimately become more successful. But I didn't have any tools. Dude, this was all trial and error. It was just like I was left on my own to kind of figure this out. I had a good mentor, so that maybe helped me fast track it a little bit. But I think for everybody out there watching and listening right now, even if you're an F&I manager yourself and you're listening to this show, all right, you can relate with the fact that you step up to the plate. And outside of maybe a proverbial checkbox of did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Right? There ain't much other data that presents that's captured to show just how well you did. And when you do really well and you want to be able to duplicate that, all right, getting that captured out there. So getting the soft skills really tells you a lot about the person. And then creating the process. I mean, look, I was a process. I was going to use a word, but I was. I was
I know where you're going.
algorithm will probably flag me for that one. All right. But I loved my process. But I also understood, and I learned this from a mentor of mine, is that the process is not written in stone. It's always an evolving, all right, kind of organism, right? And but the evolution of that was completely based on the data I can collect. And I never had the insights that you have. All right. I mean, I remember, I was probably on maybe the sixth variation of whatever my process was that hopefully got me better results. I mean, this would have fast tracked, me getting to probably variation 12, that quickly, just so I can understand like what process do I need to go through that's ultimately going to get me, and then what soft skills are going to support that. Now, here's what I like to do, Gavin, because I want to get into the technology side of this, and we have talked about the technology side of this, but this really kind of goes into the coaching element of it, right? Because up to the point, right, we train the person on the soft skills. All right. We coach them through a few things. We obviously train them on the process, the activities that are required to ultimately get to something that looks like success or a win. Right. But then this is where I feel like a lot of dealerships fall short, is the actual coaching element of it. And I think for everybody out there watching this right now, who's a leader and you're in the dealership right now, and you're in that leadership role, I know you have good intentions. Okay. So I'm not totally blaming you for not necessarily going out and there coaching, but I understand that you're wearing 6 other hats, and it may not always, you have the time to be able to do it. But let's talk a little bit about the approach to coaching that you guys have created, and just how much easier you make it for automotive dealerships.
Yeah. So, a ton here. Like, we've got actually a ton of groups that have been using cameras previously to record finance interactions, and then switched to us because what we allow anyone who's going to be training, like we see GSMs get in there, we see GMs get in there, we see finance directors go ballistic for this thing. I can be in every single conversation just without even traveling to my different stores. TPAs love this because, again, I can remotely listen in, train, and coach. And the cool thing is we don't want you to listen to the entire interaction. We would actually instruct you to do anything but that, because you're wasting time. Sure, you can put it on 1.5 speed, but that's not what we want you to do. So what we do to speed that up, like we've kind of talked about this, you'll have a scorecard for that interaction. Okay, they forgot to bring up red alert. Let me send a comment. Hey, Nick, great job. You offered all the products, but you forgot to bring up red alert. Try and do that next time. Boom, coaching moment, done. Then you look at the summary. You see the customer's main concern was XYZ. You click, it takes you right to that moment in the conversation. You see how Nick handled it. It was incredible. Awesome. Yes, tag the entire finance department. You tag the entire group. Guys, listen to this. Best practice. We're 5 minutes into an interaction. We've already listened to and shared 2 great coaching moments. Mm-hmm. Then from there, we look at the soft skills. Looked like there could have been an opportunity to build rapport. That example, customer said they traveled and you did nothing about it. Boom, get in, another coaching moment. And so what we're seeing is people responsible for training are getting through a 30 or so minute long interaction in 5 minutes, and leaving way more impactful coaching in the actual platform as well. So that finance manager can listen back and go, oh yeah, my manager is actually right here. I could have done that differently. And then you move on to the next thing. And so people strap for time. We hear that. If you record with cameras, like this just supercharges that. If you don't record at all because you don't have the time to do it, this allows you to spend 30 minutes in there a week, and you'll train on anywhere from 5 to 15 interactions. And yeah, that's the gist there.
Well, and look, I understand that for a lot of people out there watching and listening, coaching may not necessarily be your skill set. Like, guys, look, I was an amazing trainer, truly was. Okay, train all day long on the activities, but when it came to the coaching side, like I said earlier, my emotional EQ was not overly high. Right, I just kind of defaulted to, well, shut up and do your job. And here's the one thing I'll say: Siro won't tell your F&I manager to shut up and do their job. Even if you want them to, it still won't do it. Okay.
Well, we could do it. We could actually load the LLM. If they do something poorly, tell them to shut up, but we're probably not going to do that.
We're probably not going to do it because I think there's so much value in actual coaching. and what you guys do from being able to provide that salesperson coaching at the end of every transaction just for themselves, but
Yeah.
now being able to give or empower the leaders inside the dealership to be able to quickly add to that coaching in there. And I love the fact that all this coaching is something that's mapped back to what the dealership's ultimate objective is in the first place. You guys didn't come into this industry with here's a box and you all better fit in it. No,
Yeah.
every single dealership is created differently and is and their system is designed differently. Dude, I love it so much. I think F&I managers out there, and if you're out there and you're a coach or trainer, guys, look, it's a people, process, and technology game. Okay. And I will tell you right now, I have worked with so many dealerships across the country, and when there's usually something that's not doing well inside an F&I office or any of the other departments out there, actually, it's either a people, process, or technology issue. One of those things are out of whack and they're not molding well. I definitely encourage you to check out Siro. It will kind of bring that ultimate wrapper into place, your people and your process all into one single place. Hey, real quick, Gavin, because I know we're getting towards the tail end of our time. What's the best way for someone to connect with you and learn a bit more about this?
Yeah, super simple. Just search up Shiro.ai, click book a demo on the top right. You'll find my calendar there. I'm leading all of our automotive conversations today. And then if you're feeling really, want to get directly in contact with me, you can always email me at gavin@Shiro.ai. Those are the best two ways.
Gavin, I really appreciate your time jamming with me today. This has been a lot of fun. Hey, for everyone out there watching and listening, if you want to shift your way into profit, you need to be looking at your people, your process, and your technology. And this is one amazing technology that you have to take a look at. Hey, if you appreciate this content, one of the biggest compliments you can give myself or Gavin is share the show. Okay. I know for a fact you're not going to hit the like button. You're not going to throw a comment out there. And God forbid, I know you won't subscribe. Okay. But I will say right now, the biggest compliment you can give us as content creators, if you got a manager, a colleague, or someone that needs to see some part of today's conversation, share the show. It means a lot to us. Thank you guys so much for taking your time to watch this today. We really appreciate you, and you all have yourselves an amazing day. Thank you, Gavin.
Yep. Cheers, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to Shift into Profit, the podcast where we break down the people, processes, and technology that turn dealerships into profit machines. If today's conversation helped you, share the show and help another operator win. And we'll see you in the next episode.